She said that the flee fornication scripture was written way back then, and that fornication was fooling around with anyone just for the lust and not love. What last night all came down to is, I was having my first theological argument with Mary Jane. It was like I was experiencing a real version of the Battle of the Fanatics play, of my Battle of the Fanatics play, only a lot more sexually stimulating. Anyway, we had margaritas last night. I don't know if they had any effect on her, but I was certainly making sure that I wasn't going to be having one too many of them, if you know what I mean. I tried not to be naked around her again, but she bought me some sexy silk underwear that was very skimpy, and be that it was skimpy, well, when Mr. Rooster got aroused, it was nearly impossible to keep Mr. Rooster hidden inside the underwear. At the slightest touch, he'd come bounding out big and happy. I guess that's why the underwear was deliberately made to be so skimpy. Anyway, it wasn't long before I was naked again, and she was really all over me then. But I wouldn't let her get on top. That was how I lost my virginity in the first place. Anyway, even though I did have intercourse with her, which I'm very happy for, I still feel like I somehow failed. Mary Jane is very flattering, playful, and sexually aggressive, like the girls in my sex fantasies. It's really hard to follow Paul with her. Dinah came over today. She just recently met Mary Jane when I took her over to her to see the internet at her house, at Dinah's house. Dinah thinks that if I'm not going to marry Mary, I should cut it off to keep her from getting hurt later on. Dinah said it was very apparent that the lady is super infatuated with me. I told Dinah that I really do love and care for her, Mary Jane. Now, she and I really have a lot in common. Dinah thought I'd be doing more damage to her in the long run, the longer I drug it out. Well, we'll see. I think I really got to pray about this for Mary Jane's sake. All I can say is, I'm really thankful to God that I didn't go all the way with Mary Jane last night, as hard as it was at times. What else? Yesterday, at Calpine High School, I beat the school's best in ping pong. The middle-aged guy who was able to beat the guy I beat easily didn't want to play me after watching me. Oh, I have good news to report. I didn't lose my $10,000. Instead, it's gained $3,000. It's like I worked 3 months extra. Thank you, God. Up and out. Sorry. P.S. Grandma told me today that Mary and I kept her awake last night with our laughter and the horrible smell of incense I was burning. Anyway, I did have a good time with Mary Jane. I think I made her feel good. It's just that I wasn't going to be having intercourse with her. As a matter of fact, because of that flea fornication scripture, I really wasn't able to fully enjoy the stuff that we did last night. Anyway, if Mary Jane rejects me for not going all the way with her, hey, then she rejects me. I told her that I love God more than I love her. Of course, I love God more than myself. More than I love myself, I hope. Over now. April 10th, Monday night. I subbed a Spanish class at Valley High today. Yesterday my parents came up. Dad really looks great from staying away from carbohydrates, and so far his health is still improving. Yesterday I got into a religious argument over the phone with Dee Honey. My parents heard the conversation and thought it was great. The argument came about when Sadie told me that she thought I should call up Pastor Joe and have him pray for me, being that Mary Jane and I got a bit close again. Apparently, with Sandia, you can't even cuddle with a person that you love if it's out of marriage. I told Sandia that I didn't think I did anything wrong. That if I have to keep on asking God to forgive me for whatever sin I might have done, then I'm crucifying Christ afresh. I told Sandia that I felt that sin was like a fire that gets out of control and ends up controlling you rather than you controlling it. And so far I have great control with Mary Jane. What else? My parents think I should talk more like this with Sandy in the hopes of getting her out of Pentecostalism so she doesn't scare off more guys with her preaching at them. Well, we'll see. Today I talked to her on the phone, telling her that the next time she's with Jay, she shouldn't preach at all to him. She agreed. What else? Oh, for the first time in my life, I played a Grand Master in chess over the internet last Saturday, and I beat the guy when his time ran out. He beat me in the first game when I failed to move a few chess pieces to the squares like I wanted to. In the second game, I knew how to get the mouse to move the pieces, and I won. Over P.S. At Valley, on my break, I checked out on the internet to see what was possibly going on with the Iraqi opposition. It was no longer there, making me think the mirage had finally faded out to reveal nothing. That the tormenting stake in my starving dog's face was now nowhere in sight. If I didn't know about Isaiah 40, seeing this website gone today would have killed off my desire to launch messages. Instead of wanting to launch them, I'd be writing the screenplay version of it, putting it in nice, safe fiction form. Over now. April 12th, 2000, Wednesday morning, last Wednesday. I could have worked this morning, but turned it down to instead make clay discs to add into my Final Call video cassettes. These clay discs have Arabic writing on them. One side, I believe, has my last name in Arabic on it. The other side has what I believe to be the Final Call in Arabic. It probably isn't, but being that it looks like Arabic, and can possibly increase curiosity and media attention to the point of making a lot of people see my message being broadcast in an effort of getting people out to the coast later, well, hey, if I don't work today, I'll continue to make those clay discs. From the way things are now not happening in Iraq, the only thing that is motivating me to do all this crazy stuff now are those two scriptures in Isaiah 40. And that's it. That's all it is now. Nothing else. Well, I have to take that back. I can't say that that is the total reason. There is that curiosity of seeing where it could all lead. It's both disturbing and a bit exciting. It's uncharted territory that has never been thought of before that I can tell. It can also, I feel, help me with the screenplay if the Iraqi thing really is just a big, huge, horrible, tormenting coincidence and waste of youth for me. If I didn't know about the prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for God scripture, which I actually discovered back in November in the list of scriptures that dealt with universal salvation, believe it or not, a list my dad actually got off the internet, well, I don't think I'd be doing this stuff now. To me, when I read, make straight in the desert a highway for God, that's not only talking about possibly being messages from the edge of earth, but being that my image and messages could end up being shown, or at least talked about, on the internet, which just so happens to be called the Information Superhighway. Hey, how do we not know that the internet is the highway in the desert that Isaiah 40 is talking about and possibly prophesying? And on top of that, how do we not know that I'm that voice crying in the wilderness? I know I'm probably greatly reading into things here, as usual. But when I read things on the net, when I read things on the net, man, it sure seems like a bunch of nothing at times, especially when it comes to religion and prophecy. In that respect, it's like a desert. But it is a highway, a super highway that may be the fulfillment of Isaiah 40. we'll see about this. Still, I'm thinking that the desert could be the vanity of the internet with all its pornography and other things that lead one away from God and waste your time. Messages, on the other hand, could be the thing that leads people back to God, and at the same time makes the information information superhighway what Isaiah possibly envisioned. Well, we'll see. Anyway, I taught algebra at Valley High yesterday, and felt I did a great job. What else? Oh, I prayed for the black guy who was locked in the trunk of his car. I didn't know he could get out. What else? Oh, speaking about blacks, I read that Martin Luther King Jr.'s family believes that the man who shot Martin Luther King Jr., MLK Jr., didn't shoot him, even when there is a lot of evidence to prove that he did. Not only shot him, but lied about it. The reporter of this article about the gullibility of King's family said he's confused that MLK Jr.'s kids would want to believe the murderer of their dad's story and instead put the blame on a racist government conspiracy. That they'd want to believe a murderer of their dad to be innocent and his story to be sound when evidence proves otherwise. I don't know about you. But hey, I find this not hard to believe that they believed the story of their dad's killer. Not surprised at all. I mean, how soon we forget the outcome and response to the OJ verdict. In other words, you'll believe what you want to believe. Again, I ask myself, what am I blinding myself to also? Well, maybe messages will finally give me the answer to what I'm seeking. Maybe it will open my eyes and let me know if I'm as blind to the facts as the blacks were to OJ and the killer of Martin Luther King Jr. Kind of disturbing, isn't it? Well, we'll see, won't we? Over and out. Bruce Ramsey. P.S. It's now evening. I'm just writing to mention that there is another strange thing going on between me and the Unabomber. I decided to put my last name in Arabic on the backside of the clay discs I've been putting into my cassettes called The Final Call. I'm thinking that when they dry out, they'll shatter when I throw them from my car window out onto the grounds of Los Angeles, creating a puzzle within the cassette that will allow people to find out who is responsible for the final call when they put the pieces back together and call someone up who knows Arabic. Anyway, the reason why I think there is something strange going on between me and Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, is that the only place I could find that had my name in the original Arabic, so I could copy my name in Arabic onto those cassettes, were the originals I got from the Whole Earth Festival back in 1996, and my name in Arabic is located in my copy of the Unabomber Manifesto, which I've had on the shelf for 4 years now. Talk about strange, huh? Well, the coincidences never end. Hopefully I won't end up in a prison or jail like the Unabomber. Anyway, I now have over 50 cassettes containing my name in Arabic on them. 50 video discs, 50 discs, clay discs containing my name in Arabic on them. Oh, Dee Honey called. Tell me that Pastor Joe told her that his 80-year-old mother has cancer. We're all going to pray for her, of course, but this isn't the kingdom age, so I'll probably be the only one who doesn't get depressed when Pastor Joe's mom dies of cancer. And because of this news, we're not doing a video ministry taping tonight. Over now. April 14th, 2000, Friday night, just a couple of hours ago. Today and yesterday I subbed in English classes at Valley High. Tonight I just came back from an equally yoked praise and worship service where I did some singing and socializing, I drove myself and Sandy up to this place. What's funny is that Sandy is trying to keep me from calling her Dihani, especially in front of others. She says it embarrasses her and makes her feel that people will think we are boyfriend and girlfriend. I took it a step further by calling her Miss Samant. Being that, that was bothering her, and being that she wanted to be called Sandy instead, uh, and she wanted to be called Sandy in front of the equally yoked members to make it look like we weren't uh, going with each other, but were quote just friends end quote. I called her Sandy around those at equally yoked tonight. What was funny, however, is that after the service we all had refreshments, and while we were eating having refreshments, everyone was eating off paper plates, and I was treating the food as finger food, where I'd pick up a piece of chicken or potato chips and eat it that way with my fingers, without a plate. As I said, well, anyway, the funny thing occurred when Sandia began ordering me about, nagging me to use a plate like everyone else when eating food. I almost said, yes, dear, due to all her nagging, but thought it would embarrass her in front of others. Later, she realized what she was doing to me and felt embarrassed. I told her that I thought the whole thing was cute. She wants me to treat her like a friend, and vice versa, yet tonight she was nagging me on how to eat in front of others, going way beyond making us look like boyfriend and girlfriend to more like wife and hen-pecked husband. Over and out. Bruce Hart. And you know something? That's all I have to say for now. I'll see you in another couple months. Bye. Hello, this is Bruce Ramsey. Date today is June 7th, 2000. Tomorrow is my nephew's 6th birthday. And, well, I'm going to try to catch up. Oh, this is what I did almost 2 months ago. Anyway, I'm wearing this leather jacket. Not gay, not cool, but there's a reason for it. You'll see why. Okay, I'll turn this thing off here and begin the show. Okay, this is what I wrote April 17th, 2000, Monday morning. Dihani had a great time in San Jose. I picked her up last night from the bus station, and she went on and on about it. Sonia looked extra pretty to me as she talked. Yesterday I spent most of my time with Mary Jane. We walked around downtown Sac, and I had a pretty good time. Mary Jane was hanging all over me, as usual, even after getting a dog that was in a... Even after petting a dog that was in a shop called Enchantment, she was just trying to rub her hands through my hair. When I shrinked away from her due to her petting the dog, then trying to pet me, she felt horrible and desperately began looking for a place to wash her hands so she could get them on me again. I told her she didn't have to rub her hands through my hair, and that really I didn't like it. When I when I took her home and we ended up watching The Simpsons, she was nervously kissing and petting me again. I'd rub her back and kiss her at times myself. Anyway, I love Mary Jane. But I think that, like last time, she's moving way too fast for me. As we waited for the light rail uh, to take back to my area of town, she told me her fantasy by asking if we got married, how would you like to how would you like living in my daughter's room when she moved out? You could do all your writing in there, and I could cook and clean for you. I could support both of us. You wouldn't even have to work. I responded with, if we got married, maybe so. I was trying to give her answers that wouldn't get her hopes up. Mary Jane is, again, coming on very strong toward me. She got me more silky male underwear and a rubber ring for Mr. Rooster. I really don't know how and where's it or what it's supposed to do. Also, while down in in the downtown plaza, she took me into a leather shop where she had me try on some leather jackets that she loved on me and wanted to actually buy for me, thinking that they made me look like Elvis. I then did some Elvis impersonations for her, like and like emotional, all that sort of stuff, which she appeared to think were very funny. Anyway, I did enjoy the leather jackets, and I must admit, I did look good in them, being that black is my color. It was strange wearing them, though, because they represent the type of person who is totally not me. Unless you realize that I'm one of the coolest uncool persons there probably is around. Anyway, I have to admit, I also have to admit, again, that it's kind of uncomfortable being with someone who is so incredibly crazy about me. It seems to be a fanatical love, like worship. I mean, she's really having a hard time controlling her nervous desperation for me, poor lady. I almost feel like a possession of hers, that I'm a toy doll she wants to buy clothes for and have fun with. I guess you could say that I feel smothered by her interest in me. This morning she called me, asked me what I was going to be doing today. I told her that if I wasn't going to Modesto, that I'd be either finishing up on the final call or reading. I tried to give the big hint to her that I wanted to be by myself today. Mary Jane told me that if I was going to Modesto today, that she would want to go with me to meet the the wonder people who actually spawned me. Anyway, I'm trying to be a friend toward Mary Jane. Just a friend. A good friend, but that's it. Anyway, I love her and feel we have a lot in common, but the difference between us, besides sex and background, is she's different. Be, uh, well, she's desperately crazy about me in a fanatical way. And I, on the other hand, can't take her or leave her. Instead of driving me from Dihani, she's driving me back to Dihani. Anyway, Sanya gave me a book called The Ten Commandments of Dating. I think I'll read it to Mary Jane over the phone. Maybe it'll keep her from being so smotheringly obsessed with me. Over and out. Bruce Hart. P.S. If she ends up buying me that leather jacket she likes on me so much, I highly doubt that I'll be wearing it. The only types of people who seem to wear that type of leather jacket I tried on yesterday are creepy hoods from the 50s motorcycle riders, San Francisco gay guys cruising Castro Street, and Terminator robots. And I'm not a rider of motorcycles, nor a Terminator robot, nor a hood from the 60s, the 50s, to name just 3 of those types. If I rode a motorcycle, then yes, I'd wear that type of leather jacket for protection. And I'd have an excuse to wear it. But I don't ride motorcycles. Not until Christopher Reeve is running the 100-yard dash again. Or not. April 18th, 2000, Tuesday morning. I discovered this morning that I nearly have 200 video cassettes called Observations of the Strange. In other words, I've gone beyond the 150 mark I was trying for. Just about all day yesterday, and clear up until into 1 a.m., I was removing fingerprints and putting the videotapes upside down in their jackets to make the black part of them show and to hide the part with the title called The Final Call. Anyway, I'm now debating with myself if I should finally reveal to my family what I've been doing and what I've been planning for The Final Call this Easter weekend. I'd really like to go to LA this Friday, and starting Friday night, start checking videotapes in the suburbs of LA. Why LA? Because of symbolism. LA stands for Los Angeles. Los Angeles stands for the angels, or those angels. And what job does an angel have in the Bible, mainly? To be a messenger. I'm hoping that checking video cassettes in LA, the way I created them, it will create news to the point where those in the Bay Area will come forward with the tapes I had Mary Jane check last February, and in the process it starts people wondering, talking, and eventually going to the coast when I launch the big stuff. Well, we'll see. Over and out. Bruce Hart. P.S. Today I'm going to try to spray paint my video tape jackets black. Okay. April 21st, 2000, Friday afternoon. Well, Mary Jane did it. She bought me that hood-looking leather jacket, and while I was doing a Tupi exhibit at Florian Elementary last night, Grandma said Mary Jane came barging in with her daughter, Jeannie, hugged Grandma, and came in with the jacket in a box wrapped up like a present. Grandma didn't know what it was until I opened it up. When I did, her mouth dropped open in shock. Her mouth, yeah. Her mouth dropped open further when I put it on and started doing Fonz impersonations. Grandma told me that the jacket was not me at all. She asked, "You're not going to wear that anywhere, are you?" I said, "Around Mary Jane I will." There was a letter Mary Jane gave me along with the jacket that revealed just how crazy she was about me. Seeing the jacket, plus hearing me read the letter Mary Jane also gave me, made Grandma feel incredibly uncomfortable, claiming that Mary Jane was manipulating me through things and that I should call to tell Mary Jane that I shouldn't accept the jacket even if I actually liked it. That accepting the jacket was one more chain Mary Jane would put on me. Anyway, I did end up calling Mary Jane, but when Mary Jane told me, she gives all her friends things she thinks they'll like, she gets them. So, I now have a Cool Joe jacket hanging up downstairs. Grandma thinks the letter Mary Jane gave me proves otherwise when she talks about giving things to friends. That now Mary Jane is starting to get into the stalking mode. That's now obsession. Anyway, that may be the case, but I think that if I can continue to put God first, and Mary Jane can see that, and see that I'm not using her, but cherish her friendship, enjoy her company, maybe it'll be all right. I told Mary Jane that I feel that I should get her something now. Well, I will give her something. I'll give her a copy of my Battle of the Fanatics play, plus a copy of Calming Sea by Lifescapes. Well, we'll see. Anyway, I wasn't able to attend a taping of Pastor Joe's TV ministry after the anti-smoking meeting I attended last Wednesday. The reason? Because after the meeting I got carried away in the parking lot of Florin High spray painting the videotape cassettes that I was really thinking of taking to LA today. The big run on getting them ready for today was for nothing, however, because I have decided to not launch the final call for this Easter, even though I enjoyed the symbolism of it. Instead, I've decided to launch them next month, during the time of the alignment of the planets, an event that only takes place every 2 decades or so. The reason? Because I felt that if I launched them during Easter, it would be too much of a giveaway that Messages from the Edge of Earth was and is going to be a Christian event. I want people to realize that it is a Christian event, but not until a few months after Messages is launched. I feel that the period closest to the celestial event of next month would far be more science fiction-y, more creepy and occultic, more mysterious, like in the movie 2001. Being that the movie 2001 had a scene of celestial alignment in it, not with planets but Jupiterian moons, I feel that launching the final call during that event would be more newsworthy. It would make it a better story, which is what Messages is all about. I mean, if it doesn't make news, it doesn't fly. It literally doesn't get off the ground, except to be thrown away by me or Caltrans 6 months after launch. Well, I've got to eat over now. I'm sorry. Yesterday at Florin Elementary, before I set my exhibit, I went behind the school and tried to spray paint black the rest of my video cassettes. I ended up running out of paint. Being that I had a half an hour before I set up the exhibit, I went to the same old hardware store on Broadway that I've been going to since November, and I got more black spray paint. Being that this is like my 5th time and getting the same old stuff, the couple who work there are now starting to get curious of what I'm doing. Well, if they ask me, I'll say it's a project of mine. Anyway, it was kind of a wasted trip yesterday because I was only able to pick up 1 can of spray paint. A can that probably won't finish it. What else? Oh, my absence from the TV ministry Wednesday was no problem. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Not. Yeah. Like it's really hard getting someone to press that button for the music. Over and P.S. My grandma is really feeling imposed upon by some Jehovah's Witnesses who live across the street, and apparently Grandma is right to feel that way. What these JWs are doing is making the place around them into a rug cleaning van station. I mean, really. It's becoming rug cleaning van central station here. A year ago there was just 1 white van. Now there are close to 7. Seeing all these cleaning vans taking up most parking spaces around Grandma's house is really getting Grandma down. So bothered is she that she's thinking of moving. Apparently Grandma wasn't the only one to complain about this. Yesterday a zoning man came out and started snapping pictures. Trouble was, there were only 3 of them when he was out. Anyway, being that these cleaning vans contain large vacuum machines that clean rugs, I guess you could say that for Grandma, these vans really suck. And suck big time. What else? Oh, Grandma also feels imposed upon from my Tupi stuff in her garage. She thinks I should charge Healthy Start for keeping their crap in her garage, claiming that it's hard to get around in there. I'll say, but it's nothing compared to Shirley Hayakamoto's garage. Of course, with Shirley. She seems to do nothing but eat, sleep, breathe, and dream anti-tobacco, anti-smoking Tupi stuff. It's like a powerful religious cult thing to her. It is a religion to her. I, on the other hand, hardly ever think about it. Anyway, so much does Grandma hate her garage being filled with this Tupi stuff that she told me she wanted me to tell the Tupi people at the Tupi meeting that I wanted to quit from this Tupi stuff. I told her, though, that the only reason why I'm doing it is for possible clout to keep me from getting fired if I should get that one last evaluation from an Elk Grove school. Over and out. P.S. I'm trying to start up a Newton story over the internet with Eddie Cleary. So far, though, he hasn't responded to it. What I do is write a few lines of story I'm working on called The Barrier. But when I send it to him over the net, I'm hoping that he'll read it, add something to it, then send it back. In other words, I'm trying to start up the Newton with Eddie, again like the way we did in the early 1970s, only instead of playing with Newton and Mason dolls, we would be doing a writing collaboration over the net. It would be computerized. But as I said, so far he hasn't responded. I also sent an email to Rick telling him a lot of what Messages was about, but not quite giving him the whole idea. I also told him that I might be coming down this weekend. Well, I've decided not to, over now. April 24th, 2000, Monday evening. I did a Tupi exhibit at John Reith Elementary today. I think I did a good job. I brought my Cool Joe jacket, but felt uncomfortable wearing it, so I kept it in my car. Believe it or not, I took it to Modesto to show it off to my family. When Diana saw it, she said, "You better get a motorcycle now, or people will think something about you." The rest of my family said they liked it, including the baby doll. Well, I'll see about this. I like my family. I let my family read the letter Mary Jane gave me. That revealed how crazy she was about me. My parents thought it was one of the greatest letters they had ever read, claiming that Mary Jane had me pegged. Being so the case, they'd like to meet her. Mom asked me if I had to be stranded on a desert island with either Dihani or Mary Jane, who'd I want to be stranded with. I, after thinking about it, said Mary Jane, being that we had so much in common. Anyway, as of now, Mary Jane is planning on coming down to Los Angeles with me on May 5th to check videotapes through LA neighborhoods. Well, we'll see about this. So far, I've heard nothing from Eddie when it comes to starting up a Knit Newton sort of thing. I got an email from Rick. He seemed to be making fun of my Messages from the Edge of Earth. I think he's frustrated to know what it's all about. Anyway, Friday night I dressed up in my jacket and went to videotape Pastor Joe for his TV ministry. On seeing me dressed in leather, all Pastor Joe did was call me Easy Rider. Saturday, I took Grandma down to Modesto. We ended up staying the night to celebrate Easter the next day. The rest of the family showed up on Sunday, and I must admit, this Easter went a lot better than the last Easter, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm just writing to say that as the days get closer to the time I'm planning on performing Operation Isaiah 40, the more it looks like nothing prophetic will ever take place in Iraq. Speaking about things biblical, Aunt Janie let it known to my Bible-believing dad that she didn't believe in Noah's Ark, nor Jonah and the fish. Hearing this made my dad feel bad and made him think that such unbelief may answer certain questions. I told Dad that I wouldn't worry about Aunt Janie until she didn't care if there was a Noah's Ark or Jonah, being that Paul says that faith is things hoped for the evidence of things not seen. Yeah, that faith is things hoped for the evidence of things not seen. Oh well. I must admit, it is awfully hard to believe in such things as the Ark and the Jonah story, to name just a few. Really hard to believe, but I want to believe in them, so I'm okay then, right? Over now, Berserk. P.S. Bad news. Um, while eating Easter dinner down in Modesto, I had to sneak away from the table to keep my family from realizing that I was choking on food again. Yep, my esophagus was not working again, and this time, sticking my tongue out, sticking my tongue in and out like the CP-stricken Caesar, uh, wasn't working. Please, God, please don't let me end up with a tube in my stomach. Please, God, please, yeah. In your name, Jesus Christ, I pray, amen. Oh well. Well, it wasn't as bad as the time back in 1991. Still, I felt my face flush as panic began to enter into me from not being able to swallow, and instead, feeling my food began to get knotted up in my esophagus, giving me the smothering claustrophobic feeling again. This time, it was caused by eating ham. I had to leave the table, I had to leave the table, spit out the food in my mouth, and constantly try to loosen my esophagus. Without swallowing, realizing that if I did, it would just knot up my esophagus even more. For now. I'm tired. I don't know if I should continue with this. I'll continue until it stops. April 26, 2000, Wednesday night. I did a Tupi exhibit at Limebach Elementary. While there, I got to see one of my fellow Tupi exhibitors, an old acquaintance, do his Tupi exhibit. Talk about dull. I think I can understand why. I think I can understand now why everyone wants me and my Hall of Fame exhibit. What else? Yesterday I played a dinosaur video over and over again at Elk Grove High. This evening I went with Dihani to Pastor Joe's instead of videotaping him. We all celebrated his incredibly cute and pretty daughter Amy's 19th birthday. Also, while there, I got to meet his daughter Amy's very dark African-American boyfriend named Robert. All I can say is, Robert has got to be the luckiest black boy around. What else? Yesterday, I finished spray painting the last of my Final Call videotapes. I'm thinking of assembling them in 2001 monolith form in the garage tonight. What else? Oh, Mary Jane called me at about 11 p.m. last night, possibly waking up Grandma. She was depressed on the phone, saying her depression was the result of seeing the movie Three Kings. She also said she needed to talk to me and was missing me. She wants me to come over to her place this Friday, and we have plans to do something this Saturday. I'm going to call her tonight and let her know that I think she should come over here Friday night instead. Mary Jane called me this morning telling me that she was sorry for dumping her depression on me last night. Anyway, depression I can handle from someone. Desperation, however, makes me want to flee. What else? Oh, I heard on the news that fetal stem cell research is taking a battering due to the fact that it can only come about from aborted fetuses. Christopher Reeve and other crippled people, however, are all in favor of this controversial therapy, and I think for good reason. Personally, I'm all in favor of fetal stem cell research. The reason? Because it takes the tragic edge off of abortion. I mean, instead of the murdered baby being thrown into the trash, its stem cells can instead possibly bring healing into the lives of those who are living in hell, like Christopher Reeve and others. People are afraid that this will make it easier for girls to want to have an abortion. Well, that may be the case. All I can say is, if a doctor performs an abortion, he should be penalized, I feel. If he or she does immediately preserve the tissue, call up a stem cell research center, and God willing, have those stem cells used for good. It certainly beats trashing the dead baby. I mean, really. To me. It takes the sting out of a tragic situation. The aborted fetus becomes kind of a hero, bringing life and rejuvenation to those living in hell. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. If there is not going to be some heavenly miracle to get people up out of wheelchairs, I say, use the dead fetuses. Have their tragedies be of a good use with fetal stem cell research. I think of that scripture that goes, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Well, it goes something like that. I don't know. April 29th, 2000, Saturday morning. I got out of going to Modesto today, thank God. Now maybe I can set up my final call videotapes into a structure that looks very 2001-ish. Mary Jane came over last night. I took her to the park, hoping that the ballpark lights would be on. If they were, I was going to set up my monolithic-looking structure there just to freak people out as they drive by. The lights were on, however. The lights weren't on, however. When we came home, we almost went all the way, but thank God for my willpower. And I was able to refrain from a guilt-producing experience. What I've learned from Mary Jane is that one of the reasons why she is so crazy about me is because I do have self-control in the sexual area. She said she finds that refreshing, that I'll let Mr. Rooster get big, but won't let him enjoy himself. It's actually easier than it appears. However, if Mary Jane looked and felt like the way Jennifer Lopez looks and probably feels, well, man, I'd be having a hell of a time trying to be Mr. Willpower Christian guy. Being around a girl who looked and felt like Lopez would be muy difficult, if you know what I mean. Anyway, last evening, I showed Mary Jane my 6-year-old project I've been working on called The Geological Record of Bruce Ramsay, which is a peanut butter jar now almost completely filled to the top with my beard shavings. A project that dates back to March of 1994. Mary Jane really thought it was funny and neat that I'd do something like that. When she asked me why, I said, I noticed gray hair coming in 1994. Gray hair in my beard. I thought that rather than get depressed over such a situation, I'd make a game out of my aging process by making a geological record type thing where the oldest whiskers are at the bottom, would be dark, and the top ones would be gray or white. So far, though, it seems to be the same color all the way through. Mary Jane cracked up more when I told her that I would put one of my little plastic red dinosaurs in near the bottom of it, something I did back in 1996. I told her that the reason why I did that is because if the jar were to break, it would seem more like a geological record if the person cleaning up the whiskers saw the red dinosaur in all those shavings. Anyway, now that I'm by myself, I feel free to make the monolith one more time at least. I'm going to call Mary Jane up and get ready and get her ready. What else? Yesterday, I subbed science classes at Valley High, seeing an interesting National Geographic video on volcanologists who had the last name of Kraft, and Thursday I was at Laguna Creek trying to teach a few disorderly algebra classes. The teacher of the class made me feel uncomfortable. Oh, I have to stop for now. Bye. Oops. Hello, this is Bruce Ramsey. The date today is June 12th, 2000. And what I'm about to read to you is something I wrote April 29th, 2000. Just have to find it. So, anyway, I have something interesting to tell you. I will tell it to you when I find it here. April, yeah. I did something that I would consider the unthinkable about a year ago, actually a year and a half ago. But I did it. I'll let you know what I did. Okay. Let's see here. I don't think I've read this part, have I? I don't think I have. Well, anyway, I'll now continue this. Oh. Shoot, it wasn't recording here. I'll say it again here. This is Bruce Ramsey. The date today is, it is June 12th, 2000, and this is what I wrote April 29th, 2000. I would be wearing my Cool Joe jacket, but it is incredibly hot. I don't want to stick it up with my sweat because I would be sweating if I were in it, because it's around, well, it's about 80 something in here right now. I'm just pouring sweat, and I thought I would save the life of my jacket by not sticking up. So, no Cool Joe jacket for tonight. Okay, let's see here. Anyway, last evening I showed Mary Jane my 6-year-old project I've been working on called The Geological Record of Bruce Ramsey, which is a peanut butter jar now almost completely filled with my beard shavings. A project that dates back to March of 1994. Mary Jane really thought it was funny and neat that I'd do something like this. When she asked me why, I said, I noticed gray hair coming in 1994. Gray hair in my beard. I thought that rather than get depressed over such a situation, I'd make a game out of my aging process by making a geological record type thing where the oldest whiskers at the bottom, where the oldest whiskers at the bottom would be dark and the top ones would be gray or white. So far, though, it seems to be the same color all the way through. Mary Jane cracked up more when I told her that I put one of my little plastic red dinosaurs in near the bottom of it, something I did back in 1996. I told her that the reason why I did that is because if the jar were to break, it would seem more like a geological record if the person cleaning up the whiskers saw the red dinosaur in all those shavings. Anyway, now that I'm by myself, I feel free to make the monolith one more time at least. I'm going to call Mary Jane and get her ready. What else? Yesterday I subbed science classes at Valley High, seeing an interesting national... yeah, I told you about this. Okay. The teacher of the class made me feel uncomfortable when she called me yesterday, asked me if anyone had gotten into her desk while I was there and stole something. What else? more, more about last night. One of the reasons why Mary Jane came over last night was to see me hook up and play videotape I found on the side of the road. Well, I tried to play the videotape I found, but guess what? It wasn't clean enough, and now I feel I have to have my VCR video heads professionally cleaned. Because of this, it's making me think no one will play messages if I launch it the way I was planning it. Because of this also, it got me thinking a whole lot of new things that maybe I shouldn't launch messages, at least not the way I was planning it. I mean, do I want to be responsible for causing a lot of costly VCR head repair due to someone not being able to completely wash and dry the videotape? Do I want to litter that pretty coastal highway? No, I don't. Trouble is, though, if I launch the tapes in such a way where it doesn't leave the spool, but can be easily spliced and played without damage to video heads, then what I have on videotape has a much, much greater chance of being played and seen. In other words, the chance of someone finding out what the Mirage is all about has a much greater chance of being exposed. Trouble is, though, what if it's not the time for, say, another 100 years that Jeremiah 15:51 becomes completely fulfilled through, say, one of Saddam's future clones? I know I'm being stupid here, but what if it's not the time to expose it? Then, if it isn't, I could really be risking death launching messages, right? The way I planned it, I think it would now take a miracle for someone to pick it up and play it and find it. And find what literally drove me to do this. And would they even bother coming forward if they did find it and comprehend it? Before I met Mary Jane, I thought that if someone read Jeremiah 51 plus Habakkuk with the notion of Iraq being Babylon, that they would come to my way of thinking. Mary Jane proved me wrong. I now know that for another person to come around to my way of thinking, they have got to know the history of Iraq since the Gulf War and superimpose that with those prophetic scriptures. That's the only way. And of course, Habakkuk says that you won't believe it even if it were told you. If, on the other hand, I check out tapes that can be easily picked up and played, man. But then again, what if this is the fulfillment of Isaiah 40? What if this is a fulfillment of Isaiah 40? Well, talk about being caught in a strange predicament now. Talk about being caught in a strange predicament here. Now it's getting kind of scary for me. Oh well. One of the reasons why I was going to launch messages from the edge of Earth in such a way where there would be trails of videotape on the side of the coastal highway was for not only to possibly keep the reason for why I did what I did hidden, but to protect my prophecy as well. And at the same time attract attention to the stuff, being that people would be bound to report such a strange phenomenon of seeing such a large amount of videotape unraveled on the coastal highway. Of course, that's how I originally planned it. But I noticed, coming back up the coast, that my first attempt at doing messages was a complete and utter failure due to the fact that it left no impression on me. For one thing, it was like it was nowhere in sight. How do I know that that wouldn't happen again? Especially with the coastal breezes the way they are. Maybe I shouldn't unravel them? Maybe I should take my chances that God will hide my embarrassing life and only expose that which deals with the tormenting mirage? Well, I tell you what. A week from now, and there is a huge possibility that I and Mary Jane will be driving about through Los Angeles checking tapes in neighborhoods like we did in the Bay Area. If these now black and mysterious looking videotapes containing the clay tablet of Arabic writing don't catch anyone's attention, what I think I'll do now is not unravel the observations of the strange part of messages, but make the observations part in such a way that if I throw them from the window, they won't shatter on the highway. And all the stuff that is personal and stupid about me, I'll use to attract attention to observations by unraveling them. Of course, observations is a bit personal also. Actually, it's very personal. But shouldn't but shouldn't it be but shouldn't be too much of a threat to those I know. Oh well. If the final call fails to bring attention to the coastal highway, what I'll do is unravel only those tapes that are personal and embarrassing. Observations, though, will remain intact. As I said before, I need something to grab attention. From what I've discovered last night is that no one will play the video of messages unless they want to possibly end up with dirty video heads due to not watching it right. If the final call fails, I'll launch the old messages part like I was planning from the get-go, but not unravel observations. We'll have a greater chance of being found out. Well, I have a greater chance of being found out far sooner now when someone hooks up and plays Observations of the Strange. If the final call does grow into media attention to the point where it activates the final call in the Bay Area, then I don't have to unravel any of my videotapes. I'll tape up all my video rolls so they don't unravel when thrown from the window, and I'll take my chances that there will be so much information about me out there that whatever stupid stuff I might have said and did on videotape said and did on video will be crushed out by the observations of the strange part. I'll save the idea of having all of my video tapes unraveled on the coastal highway for the fictional movie part of messages. Anyway, that's how I think I'll play it. The final call will be a wake-up call. It'll be a wake-up to the world. A wake-up call to the world. It'll be my Paul Revere, and I'll now leave it all up to God on who will become my spokesman at picking up and playing the video rolls on the side of the road. Will the guy only focus on my embarrassingly vain, stupid, and fluffy stuff, such as Newton, or will he tell what the Mirage is all about, or will he or she do both? Or will my video rolls just be picked up and thrown away? We'll see. Anyway, it's looking like I won't be putting out directions for people to acquire 10 grand. Thank God I launched that videotape back in February. The way I'm now, that way I'm not a liar. I'll just say that I'm now in the intermission stage of launching messages, like we are supposedly in the intermission stage of the Kingdom Age. The intermission being the Age of Grace. That way it doesn't make it appear like Christ lied when he says in Revelations, "Behold, I come quickly," 2,000 years ago. Over and out, VR. April 30th, 2000, Sunday afternoon. Yesterday at about 4 p.m., I picked up Mary Jane and took her up into the foothills to possibly make a promotional video for the movie version of Messages. I brought up all of my final call videotapes. After looking about for over an hour, we came upon a really pretty meadow area that I thought would be great to build the structure out of my videotapes that would end up looking like the monolith from 2001. Anyway, seeing that it would be impossible to build a base sturdy enough to erect something that would look like the creepy object from that crazy psychedelic movie, due to the ground not being even in spite of my shoveling, Mary Jane and I ended up fooling around with the video camera. We ended up taking pictures also, and I recited and acted out some monologues I still managed to have in memory, to be or not to be, being one of them. Mary Jane really seemed to be impressed with my with my with what with what acting ability I have, not realizing that I was blown it big time. Anyway, I was wearing the black leather jacket she gave me, causing me to become drenched in sweat. While we were playing around with videotape, a cop came over the hill and began questioning us. No doubt he was thinking some foul play was up, being that I had a shovel and hoe in the back of my car, along with black videotapes. He left when he discovered from us that we weren't burying a murder victim, but videotaping a science fiction scene. Speaking about the science fiction scenes we did, hey, they were stupid. But it killed time to the point where the sun was just right before picture taking. Anyway, after that, we drove off into the sunset. Mary Jane suddenly began to feel horrible, thinking it was due to not eating very much that day. I stopped off at a strawberry stand on the corner of Sunrise and Jackson. We ended up eating strawberries that were supposedly washed. Well, I ate like 3. I prayed in my mind that the Asian lady I bought them from was telling the truth about them being washed. Who knows? We could have gotten our fill of pesticides, and God only knows what else. Anyway, I later found out that the reason why Mary Jane was feeling so horrible is that she is not only trying to lose weight by staying away from carbs, but is taking an herbal medication that has a drug in it that speeds up one's metabolism, that acts on the body kind of like speed. Mary Jane said she's doing this in the hopes that she can lose weight and appear more sexy toward me, so I'll marry her. I told her that I'd rather have her fat and healthy than the other way. Anyway, I thought she was on something. For one thing, she hardly ever sleeps. Another thing, she's incredibly hot, burning hot. And I'm not just talking sexually. It was pleasant and cool late last night, yet she wanted the fan on. She was also getting severe cramps in her legs, causing her to flinch and jerk. And this was around 3 in the morning. I finally told Mary Jane that instead of trying to sleep with me, she should leave and go to her work. She did. Anyway, I really wish the best for Mary Jane. I just hope she isn't ruining herself in an effort to try to control my passions for her. The thing is, even if she were able to end up looking like the babe she was 20 years ago, well, would I then want to marry her? Oh well, we'll see. After I dropped her off at her place where she tried to cure a horrible headache of hers, she drove over to my place and tried to build the monolith in my grandma's kitchen. It was discovered here that the monolith I had planned to build in various places would never have happened like I was able to build the first one on December 7th, 1999 in my grandma's garage. Apparently, having clay in the cassette shells this time made the monolith-looking structure Mary and I were trying to build unstable. By the time we reached the halfway mark of its construction, it was teetering toward the east. We tried to balance it out by adding clay-free cassettes on the east side, but it didn't work. The thing went crashing onto my grandma's floor. Oh well. Anyway, it's looking more and more that I'll be going to LA next weekend with Mary Jane by my side. Well, she wants to come with me. She can come with me. We are going to be launching the final call on the day of the grand alignment, or as I call it, the alignment of the planets. Anyway, I checked out the grand alignment while at Laguna Creek High on one of that school's internet computers, and well, wasn't very impressed with this May 5th alignment. Apparently, though, there never really will be a perfect planetary alignment, and the one that took place in 1982 was more impressive. Oh well. Anyway, still, an alignment like this one doesn't take place that often. So I'll launch the final call on that day. Over and out. Bruce Ramsey. P.S. After church today, I took Dihani to the Hunan buffet. After that, I took her to Walmart, where she bought some baby things for her boyfriend Jay's pregnant sister. I paid for our meals. The fortune cookie I got had a message in it that went, and I quote, "There is a prospect of a thrilling time ahead for you." It had a smiley face in the upper corner. Dihani's fortune cookie said that she has a way of gaining friends, which is true also, which is true. Over now. May 4th, 2000, Thursday night. Well, tomorrow, if all goes to plan, I and Mary Jane will be in LA at this time checking strange-looking videotapes. Only God knows what will result from this. The way things are going nowhere in Iraq, I have a strong, powerful feeling that nothing is going to result from it. I mean, just yesterday, I was reading on the internet just how cozy the Kurds now have it in Iraq due to the embargo. Being so the case, I really can't see how the rest of Jeremiah 15:51 can result. I mean, the mirage that got me doing all this video stuff really seems to be fading. What it's come down to is that I now feel that I'm doing... What it's come down to is that I now feel what I'm doing is just going to become another Blair Witch sort of thing. Of course, if I and my family are right about Iraq, and if it's not the time for prophecy, man, well, I guess something deadly will be close by for me. Something to keep me from exposing my theory to the world. Well, I really don't think I care. If it's not the time, and God kills me to keep me from interfering with prophecy, then he kills me, and the constant waiting and disappointment is over. At least I'll know for certain that there is a personal God. If nothing happens, I'll think that either God is making people very non-curious to keep from prophecy interference, or that it really is a bunch of nothing, just a huge crazy coincidence. I'll instead expand upon it to make a fairly entertaining flick. I'll also be feeling pretty crappy to realize that it's all been just a big time-wasting theory. But at the same time, as I've said, I'll be free from the mirage. Finally. I hope. Well, Mary Jane sure is looking forward to going down to LA with me. I'll be picking her up at 8 a.m. So far, no one knows that Mary Jane and I are planning. All the video cassettes are now waiting in the back of my car. Well, all the cassettes called The Final Call. The video that will be Messages from the Edge of Earth. Hey, I really don't know if I'll be launching that or not. It all depends on what happens with The Final Call. I mean, if The Final Call generates a lot of media attention to the point where people are looking for what weird thing may pop up on the coast of California, then I won't be unraveling all my videotapes to attract attention. I'll instead wrap them in tinfoil, making it so much of it can survive. If nothing results from The Final Call, then I'll only wrap Observations of the Strange in tinfoil, and maybe some news and stories, and the rest I'll unravel in the hopes of bringing a lot of media attention to Observations. What it's coming down to is that my fear of God snuffing me to keep the main message of Messages from the Edge of Earth is fading. I now think that if God snuffs me to keep me silent, then God snuffs me. At least I won't have to continue taking finasteride. Also, if I'm right and it is the time, which I hope, even though it now really looks like it isn't, it is